There you go, Chris. I stole the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire theme. I hope we don't get
You
sued.
did. You did. That was quite fancy. I like that one.
Good. I think my editing skills are getting just that little bit better. Witch Wars 6. For those that don't know, Witch Wars is a competition we at the Thoth Witchcraft shop hold every now and then, normally every couple of months. This month, Witch 6 is called Fort Knox. Now, we'll wait for a couple of people to, jump on the live stream before we start discussing it in any level of detail. But Chris, let's run through some of the previous Witch Wars zizzes we had, because the first one was, I think the first one was possibly my second favorite. The first one was the Hexin one, Hexin or Healing, where we got two competing teams, Team Liam and Team Chris. And we had this magical practitioner, Raven Grimsby, wasn't there? And my team had to hex and kill him, magically speaking, of course. And Chris's team had to save him. That one ended with his head being cracked open, didn't it?
Yeah, so pretty
much. The second one, I think, was that the spy one? Was that the dossier one? I think that was the spy one.
I think so.
Where it was all about
questioning myself.
It was all about testing psychic development. It was the psychic development.
Espionage.
Is it espionage? Yeah. It was, each of these Witch Wars, they have a theme. The first one was very much spell casting, where there's protective forms of spell casting and healing forms of spell casting, or hexing and sort of black magic. The second one, psychic work. That was quite interesting because that was about getting a dossier information or getting little bits of information, having to fill in the blanks. That really tested the skills of quite a lot of professional psychics, I do believe, that are out there that were entering into that one. That was a fun one. There was evocation, where they had to evoke a spirit into manifestation and find out a little bit about the secrets of its sigil. Another fun one. Maybe one or two people might have got hurt during that one. We scaled it back a little bit because it was essentially a demon at the end of the day, wasn't it? And I suppose some people were a little bit worried about that. These demons can run amok, Chris.
Yeah.
And as for the others, they escaped me. I can't really remember what the others were. But we're on Witch War 6, okay? Which was your favourite, by the way, of the past? Do you have a favourite Witch Wars?
I quite like the espionage one. Obviously, the latest one, which was targeted killing, Hitman, or what did you call it?
Oh, assassination. How could I forget assassination?
That was my least favourite one, but that's because you did things in the video that I didn't like.
Right. Yeah, the first one was called Battle of the Hexes. The second one was Evocation. No, the second one was Espionage. Then it was Evocation. Then it was Origin, which is the one I forgot.
Oh, yes, Origin's the one I forget.
Doing astral projection and remote viewing to look at the origins of the universe, this universe. Assassination was the one where they had to magically assassinate a world leader.
By New Year's Eve.
Now, this one is Fort Knox. It's called Fort Knox. The intro was a lot about money and gambling and magical things like that. So what they basically have to do with this one, because Fort Knox is basically a fort, is where we keep, I think it's in America, isn't it, Fort Knox? It's either America or France. I'm pretty sure it's in America.
It's America. It's something to do with the treasury, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's about stashing gold bullion and money and all of that sort of thing, basically. So this is a finance and money wars. Now, Chris, money is one of the most popular forms of spellcasting. It's normally health or wealth or love is what a lot of people are interested in. This one, we're talking about wealth, and for some, that also includes health because obviously some people are lucky enough to have things like the NHS and that and get crippled by bills that relate to love from divorce and also from insurance companies not paying out for your medical costs and such. But we won't talk too much about that. Instead, we'll talk about the
I'm
actual.
not liking the warm glow, Liam.
You like a warm glow. You
I'm
look
not
a bit
liking the warm
pasty,
glow.
I'm not going to lie. It's my special light. I've made this light years ago. It's got a nice fancy bulb in it. It's just giving me a kind of like a warm glow, doesn't it?
Yeah, mine does warm glow, but I don't like it.
Right, so which was 6. Now, there's this idea with money magic that some people advise against it. Gerald Gardner, famous Wiccan father, founder of Wicca and such, was very much against that kind of thing, and it's led a lot of people to write books and things where talking about personal gain gets picked up by television shows and movies and stuff with the idea that witches should not be doing magic to get wealthy or to get money or anything like that. And we obviously disagree with that, but a lot of people do have hang-ups over it. So there's this concept of, well, if I feel that I'm worthy of money, or all I need to do is believe I'm rich and I will be rich. And there's a big problem with that, because that is this new age concept of wishing for the best, and then being basically, what I don't like about it is being told, well, you're not rich, you haven't got your money, your spell didn't work, it's all your fault because you didn't want it enough, believe in it. And it's kind of like, well, okay, if I'm in a considerable amount of debt, or I need to pay the mortgage this month or whatever, it's really difficult to suspend my belief or my disbelief that I can make some money pop up to pay the bills when I really, really need this to happen. So this idea, or this new agey kind of concept and idea of, well, if you believe it, it will happen. We want to get rid of that, particularly for this task. So for this task with this Witch Wars, it's going to have a one winner this time round, and it is going to be the person that manifests the most amount of money by the end of May 2021. Okay. Now, you can use whatever form you want to manifest money, but what you can't do is basically take account of the money that you've already got. So if you have a solid job, which is a standard paycheck, you can't be saying, well, I went to work for a month and here's my month's paycheck, because we're going to get that anyway. You can't say, well, I looked in my bank account and yeah, look, I've got money in the bank account. No, it needs to be a manifestation of money. And you need to keep a little running total and tally over the next month of all these weird and interesting little extra incomes that come in as a result of your work. Now, how you decide to work is entirely up to you. We do highly encourage for you to talk in the Witchcraft Live Facebook group about what you're up to, take people through, your ideas and things like that. It's lovely. I love to see, Chris, when people do post about their work, pictures, videos, that kind of thing. Is a great thing to see. It gives you insight into how other people work. But the only rules essentially are that these manifestations need to take place in May. So this money needs to come to you in May. Okay. So you can't say, well, I got a pay rise, but that pay rise isn't June, July. Does that count? No, it doesn't bloody count, right? It needs to happen in May. Now, the concept that I was talking about, Chris, with regards to the new agey kind of yucky concept of you've just got to believe and you'll get, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you agree? I don't want to speak for you.
Obviously, hermetic laws, law of attraction, I can get behind to a certain extent. What I can't get behind is that everything in life is just going to come just because you want it. I have trouble with that, because obviously, for magic to occur, one, you've got to have, to a certain extent, opportunity. If you were to, magic works a lot easier if there's opportunity for it to work. And I don't think people tend to think enough about the human element, the reality element of, like I always like your manifestation tasks that you set, like the orange ball, or when we've done other versions of the orange ball. Where most people get tripped up is they make what they're after too hard to arrive. So with this, it's a case of people go, well, obviously the most obvious way is to get a winning lottery ticket or something like that kind of focuses on, but then they'll think through the process and they'll focus on the wrong part. So they might say, oh, I'll use psychic to find out the numbers, or and they'll go through those processes, and what they think is the easiest way for that to arrive to them isn't always. So I think a lot of people will focus too much on that. The other part is, I don't like the morality part.
Yeah.
I deserve this more than somebody else kind of process, or you'll be punished because you're taking it from someone else. Money magic is one of those ones I struggle with anyway.
It doesn't exist, does it? It's really difficult.
It doesn't exist. So, once upon a time when I was last here, you wanted actual gold or precious metals or gems. There was a reality to it. Whereas now it's all zeros and ones, and I can't really cope with that.
We're off the gold standard, Chris. You remember when the gold standard was an actual gold standard, in that they were bartering with silver and gold in the street, and that you'd have all these gold wagons that you could steal from. You could hide in the hedges with your sword and your mates and jump out and kill them all and steal the gold. Nowadays, you say, I'd like to deposit this check, and they say, okay, how much is it? Yeah, okay, type. There we go, it's in your account. Where did that go from? Well, it's all about banking licenses and making money out of nothing and quantities. Then I know, I wrote a book about it. Now, it's an interesting concept, money, and people do get very hung up on it. And I know that there are people that will really, really want to take part in this and really want to do some magical money manifestations and stuff, but they'll struggle with it. So I'm going to give you a different approach, a different way of thinking about it, because a lot of people will come from this idea of the universe gives you the money. You manifest it, do a spell, and the universe will grant that from you. A lot of people, that leaves a bit of a sour taste in their mouth. Now, I decided to come up with the name Fort Knox, and we didn't necessarily have a format for it, but I liked the idea of Fort Knox. And originally I thought that we'd probably do something to do with stealing, but Fort Knox, where they keep the monies and all that, you got me thinking about this idea of the universe giving you what you deserve. There's a lot of that. I don't deserve this.
Well, I'm sure at one point, Fort Knox, if it's not now, was a minting place. It was somewhere that printed money, as opposed to stored money. It's where the plates for, they created the plates for printing money. So, which is why Fort Knox was impenetrable, is because, not because they were storing money, but they were storing the possibility to make money.
Making it, yeah. What's more important than £1 million in cash? Well, the plate that stamped the paper that £1 million essentially is printed on. So there's a concept of what I'd like to do. They talk about suspending your disbelief. What I'd like to think about is, don't think about suspending your disbelief. Don't try and be, there's a certain word that one of our patrons uses. I think it's called, is it something like poverty kinky or something like that? Kinky about poverty. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you don't feel rich and you're not going to be rich because you don't feel rich. So those kind of ideas. I'm thinking about stealing from Fort Knox, thinking about the universe. Wait a minute. I work hard, play hard, okay, but you know, don't need to talk about that. The universe owes me a bloody favor. The universe owes me some money. And guess what, universe? You haven't given it to me thus far, so I'm going to take it. So Fort Knox, from this perspective, is actually the universe. And it's not about whether you're worthy of the money. It's not about, am I worth that amount of money? It's about, I am going to steal that money from the universe. I am going to alter the universe to give me that. So it's about not asking or petitioning or begging. It's not about that. It's about forcing. Now, with spellcasting, Chris, we often talk about forcing change in the universe. At the end of the day, if you're casting a spell, you're casting a spell because all of these things aren't lining up to give you what you want. So in order to things to reline up to give you what you want, something needs to change. That change requires obviously understanding what you want to happen, but it also requires some energy. It requires change. And what we're doing is we're stealing money that should be going somewhere else. So we're not doing this physically. You're not going to be going out and raiding the poor man with the helmet that goes to collect the cash from the local shops. No, we're not doing that. We're not committing fraud or anything like that. We're not stealing from humans. We're not even stealing from bankers, because I know they're subhumans, aren't they? Bankers. We're stealing from the universe itself. We are going to raid some of this money and such using whatever form you want. Do you want to do a spell casting? Do that. Do you want to get a spirit to do it for you? Go and do that. Do you want to predict lottery numbers, use psychic development to make trades on the stock market, speculate, anything like that? Go and do that. Do you want to, look, we got a little roulette wheel, you know, it's going, I gotta get this right now. There we go. Roulette wheel. Yeah, that's it. Roulette wheel in the background. Are you going to go to a casino and say, wait a minute, this is the casino's money, right? The house always wins, but not this time. I'm going to do some casino magic. You know, all of these things, all involving money, keeping a little tally. Now, someone's already written a question. The question is just cash or assets too? Ultimately, obviously, we're judging this based on the amount of money that anyone who decides to enter. So if you're going to enter, you need to tell me or Chris. You can do that by messaging us. We're in the Witchcraft Live Facebook group. So if you get yourself in the Witchcraft Live Facebook group, you'll find the rules and more information about this. Okay, you'll also have a direct line of communication. You can either publicly say, I'm joining Witch War 6 and make a big hoo-ha song and dance about it, or you can private message me and say, look, I'm entering in this. Please don't tell anyone, because my ego won't take it if I'm not the winner, as has done before, Chris.
Yes.
So, obviously, it is money. So, if you suddenly come into a house, so say someone dies, you do not a killing spell, money manifestation spell, the old thing that, you know, grandma or granddad dies, leaves you an inheritance, we'll still count that. But we need a cash monetary value for that. So it would need to be, okay, this house is worth X amount of money and I got it in May, you know. If you are one of those people that find a winning lottery ticket on the side of the road, that still counts as long as it is a winning lottery ticket for an X amount of money. Okay.
And you receive it that month.
Yeah. If you're one of the people that do shit manifestations and Subway or someone like that puts one of those little coupon voucher books and you think, I'm going to see if this counts, it gives me, you know, £2 off a sub when I buy a Coke or something like that. We will count that, but only if you actually bought that sub. So you can't just say, here's the coupon book, I didn't spend any money on it. You have to show an actual saving. So we will entitle savings. I've said it's a bullshit manifestation because if I'm honest, and I did a money spell, I wouldn't be happy with that. I'll say it's okay. Yes, it will count. Because let's be fair, at the end of the day, what's that? Probably a $5 worth of coupons, one of those. Tax rebates and stuff like that, sure, we'll count that sort of thing if it's money that you're not necessarily would get in general. If you're stealing from the tax man, in fact, I'd probably give more points to that than stealing from the universe. But there we go.
Yeah. You managed to get money out of the tax man, definitely.
Yeah, I think we got to have bonus points if people manage to get money from the tax man. That includes tax savings, but it can't be some clever accountancy like the dark pastor accountant is good with, that kind of thing. It needs to be money manifestations via magic, or if you are getting advice on how to save your taxes, it needs to be a dead accountant, which you use necromancy to talk to, or it needs to be some sort of spirit like Mercury or something like that, for it to count, I'm afraid. Because otherwise there's no magic involved. That's just mundane and therefore boring. Chris, what do you think the most popular form of magic's going to be for trying to win this one?
I wanted to really just say charm bags then, because that would have been funny. But I think most people go for the kind of lottery wins, don't they, or small petitions? The candle magic and shit.
Begging, petition work, approaching a deputy, saying, I'm not going to, we're not negotiating this. I'm just going to hope you're currently listening. It's basically like prayer set written down, isn't it? Yeah. That's the thing with deity work when it's petition. Petition isn't, I'm going to conjure you up. We're having a two-way conversation. I say something, you say something, and I know you're listening because you're responding to me and saying, no, okay, I'll do it for, 3 dead babies and steak and some incense left at a sacred site. Maybe the evil demon thing, because there's always the demons that are the cool ones in it that do all the money stuff. The angels don't seem to care about that sort of thing, from what I'm told. If that happens, then sure, we'll count that. But I don't think actual proper spirit work where you're communicating with and you're negotiating with spirit, I don't see that many people doing it. I see mostly petition begging one way, kind of hoping that something's listening and will respond. Or most of the time, I think there's probably going to be spell casting, money spells. So, yeah. Do unsuspected reductions in bills and cash gifts count? They do if they weren't going to happen anyway. So we would base that on, if you already know that you're getting some money back of something and you know that before today, then that doesn't really count because that was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
If you've done some work, magical work, and then all of a sudden this thing happens and you didn't think, I'm going to use that as an excuse, it's like, I know I'm going to get a rebate from my energy bill next month. I knew I'm getting that anyway. I know I'll count that. No, because you already know that. You know that right now that's going to happen. It needs to be a spontaneous magical manifestation that you don't currently already know. So don't cheat, okay? Because you're only cheating yourself at the end of the day, Which was, Chris, it isn't necessarily always about winning, is it? We didn't create this all about winning. It's about giving people the opportunity to either work individually or as a team, to try something, to pit their magic against someone else's magic. And, when we had the hexing one, it was actually teams. With this, there's enough money to go around because it doesn't exist. So,
Yeah. And also, we haven't talked about it, but there's no reason why you couldn't team up to rob a bank. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's how it's done. Just remember that obviously the grand total is going to be split however many ways.
Yeah.
So in that situation.
Yeah. So if you partner up with your friends and do that, then if there's 3 people in your team and you say you manifest £100,000, that is going to be split 3 ways. Okay, it's not going to be split in, we all get 100 grand each. You may all win, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be split to be split evenly. So you could do a group ritual, but it will be based on the group and how many people are in that group. So 3 people teaming up would divide that into 3. So you've actually only won 1/3 of that. Okay. Any questions before we finish, please put them in the comments. Obviously, we'll put information in the Witchcraft Live Facebook group. Witchcraft Live Facebook group, get yourselves in it. All the cool witches is in it, Chris?
Obviously. All the cool witches are wherever we are, to be fair.
Oh, you're such a trendsetter, aren't you?
Can't help it.
But yeah, so Witch Wars 6, all about money. Money is one of those things that so many people, you know, it does make the world go round. You need money to exist in this world in this century. You know, you can't go to Tesco's when you need feeding and barter them. Say, oh, you know, I really need to do my weekly shop. Any chance you'll take a mule or maybe a camel? It doesn't really work like that. Ever tried flogging frankincense to the person on the till at Lidl? It just don't work in this day and age, Chris. It just don't work. They want cold hard cash or one of those little bank cards, you tappy, which is magic in itself, really, when you think about
it. Got another one. Katie Veronica says, how many attempts are we allowed? Obviously, as many as you like.
You can do as many as you want, but obviously we're condensing it into May. So May 2021. Yeah. You could do loads and loads of spells, because that's what we'd like to encourage. We want to see you say, I'm going to do a money magic spell. Yeah. Oh, I've managed to manifest me a little bit of money. I'll add, I've made £100. I'm going to put that on my little tally. If you're the dark pastor or someone like that, mathematician, probably got a fucking spreadsheet set up before we even finish this, you know, with all of the winnings and that. We want to see, oh yeah, £100. I'm going to take that £100. I'm taking it to the casino and I'm going to knock over the roulette wheel. I'm getting me tarot cards out and I'm going to, oh, look, I see it's coming up red. I see red in me Rider-Waite-Smith deck or the KED deck or whatever bloody deck you use. Maybe you're throwing runes down on the roulette table and the croupier says, what the fuck are you doing? That's not allowed. Get out your band. Maybe don't do that. But, you know, this kind of thing we want to see. You think, oh, I'm going to make some stock trades. I'm going to predict cryptocurrencies or something like that. We'd like to see as many different types of attempts as possible. You know, that would be fascinating, interesting, and would give you more of a chance of winning, obviously. But also, no, Katie Veronica, before you ask, what you win on Grand Theft Auto does not count as real money. I'm very sorry. I know you've made millions and millions and millions doing all sorts of dodgy shenanigans on GTA, I believe the kids call it, innit? But that don't count. Unless you can print that money out of a printer and then go and spend it in a shop that is not in the digital world, that does not count before you ask. I'm very sorry about that.
Do you know what, Liam? She did ask.
Did she?
Secondly, no, because that
May 2021. We're in 2021, aren't we, Chris? Or we're in 2021?
No, we're in 2022. So
well, why have I been saying 2021 and you're not fucking correcting me? That would
I didn't hear you.
That would be cool. Yeah, sorry. May 2022. So May. Okay, we're going into May now. It's currently, by my clock, the 28th of April 2022. We're in the 21st century. I do get confused and sometimes think we're in the 22nd century or the 20th century. It does happen from time to time. Hence why I give that excuse when I'm late for things. I'm sorry I got the wrong century, love. Oh look, Katie Veronica just put, can I win on GTA? No, you fucking
no.
You're a cheat. That's exactly what a cheat would say, Chris. Psychically. There we go. So yes. Any questions, please let us know. And obviously you can start up a thread and talk about your work in the Witchcraft Live Facebook group, just to go over again exactly what we're doing. Chris, what the fuck are we doing and by when?
You're funny. Yeah, so as many attempts as you like. all that matters is your final running total.
Yeah.
So we don't want just a total. We want
Mm.
to see, you know, the amounts that came in so
Yeah.
that we can ask questions about it. Bring
Yeah.
it up in your follow-ups, that
Yeah.
sort of thing, of how they worked. So,
Yeah.
but what's it, you know, how it, we don't need to necessarily be told how it came in, but that is interesting.
I want to know,
So,
Chris. I want to know everything. I want to know all the sordid details. You know?
yeah. Well, you're a nosy bitch, ain't you? So,
I am nosy.
so yeah, so it's a case of we don't care how you acquire it. What's
It's got
important
to
is
be
that you
legal from a mundane perspective. You know, you can't go mugging people. You can't go committing fraud. It needs to be magical. Okay, it needs to be magical manifestations of money. Now, it will come to you in the physical world, you know, not GTA world, Katie Veronica, physical world. Yes. You know, the physical world is where you go outside your door and you have to interact with real life people and not avatars of people. I know it's difficult for some antisocial people, the physical world, but the physical world is where we want these physical manifestations of physical money and such. So, Mr. Chris, if you were going to do this, where would you start? If you were the would-be beginner, what would you start and attempt to do?
I don't know.
Fucking charm bag, no doubt.
No, well,
No,
possibly.
possibly. I know you've because
Possibly.
we've had people come before when we've done things at psychic fairs and stuff like that, and they come, oh, I need a little bit of money. And Chris always goes to get the bloody charm bags. I said, pick a charm bag and we'll make you a charm bag, all that sort of thing. I know it would be a charm bag, Chris. I know it. I feel it in my bones.
But that is what the mundane seeking magic as their first experience should go with. You
Not
know?
a candle? Shouldn't they go with some kind of
Nah,
hoodoo candle that they roll in a bunch of oil and herbs?
no.
I thought that was the go-to.
None of that works as well as an attraction spell that actually is carried on the body. Come on, let's face it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If you're the sort to overpower your spells, as some of our fans are, as we know from that person that set fire to your garden that time with all those essentials and such, some of these spells can be pretty powerful in a
Yeah, but
mundane sense and a magical sense.
think if she'd actually been trying to do something with money, how much money she'd have had.
Oh, I think she'd have got a windfall. Either that or she'd have burnt through like a whole winning streak at the casino. She'd have been the one that went to Monte Carlo and been on a winning streak and burnt through all of her money. Like she burnt through the majority of the grass in your garden. Oh, right. Oh, have we got some more questions? Challenge accepted. We have our first person that has accepted a challenge. Liam will commission work. I'm on a guarantee unless I surpass that. Liam will commission work? Question mark. I'm on a guarantee unless I surpass that. I don't know what that means. Can you do the subtitling, Chris? What's that mean?
I'm not entirely sure either.
Catherine Veronica needs to be more specific. Hoodoo? Yes, hoodoo. The hoodoo that you do is to work, okay? Hoodoo. If you want to do hoodoo, you can do hoodoo. If you want to do witchcraft, you can do a witchcraft. If you want to do a whatever, do a whatever. As long as it's magic and magically based, one needs to do that.
Yeah.
If you want to blackmail an angel and say, look, I was thinking about robbing the church and I'm going to do that unless, angel, you manifest me the equivalent that I would have gained by selling all the treasure and relics from that nice church down the road. Michael, I hear you've got a very expensive stained glass window. If you don't want me to smash it, I suggest you manifest me some lolly. Yes? All of these things are magical because although that is illegal in the mundane world to blackmail and such, thankfully in the magical world, it still counts as magic because you've got to have a certain amount of psychic ability and be able to, you know, commune with the spirits in order to blackmail them, Chris. At least that's my thought process. So, are there any unusual things that you would be willing to give extra points for, Mr. Chris?
I don't know. Blackmailing the church kind of does feel like a good one. But that's
So
just
kidnap
me.
and ransom of angels. I can think
Yeah.
of a certain rooster that would probably go in for that one. I don't
So,
know, if
you
I'm
know,
honest with you, whether some of these angels are really worth paying the ransom for.
so, you know, I've got no issue with that. But yeah, I don't think there's all that. I'm really not prepared to rule anything out, really.
Okay.
The idea is, for me, I think, that people try as many ways as they possibly can.
Mm.
And therefore, you know, they get the most experience out of it as possible. Because let's face it, if we were making a Witch Wars about love magic or something, there's a load of people that are like, I'm happily married, I don't need any more. But everybody wants more money, even the ones that have got money. Just look at why billionaires earn more and more. You know, billionaires become trillionaires, and trillionaires become whatever they become. Is all because people always want more. So, you know, why
Yeah,
not?
because they didn't do it on GTA. They did it in the real world. In fact, a lot of these billionaires probably own the company that owns GTA, no doubt. That's cheating, that GTA thing. I knew that was coming. I just knew it. So I get paid a guaranteed basic unless I surpass that. So if I surpass that, will it count? That'd be hard in first month to do, which is why 3 month guaranteed. Look, you need to get the money in May. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you use magic in order to sweet talk, if you're a salesperson, in order to sweet talk or get a deal, that's fine. But you need that money in May, or it needs to be guaranteed in May. That needs to be solidly locked in there in May. Okay?
Yeah.
May, okay. Yes.
May, okay.
So, yes, that's fine. Bonuses and stuff are fine, but you need to make sure that it is something that you can say, you know, I'm doing this magical work. This is the result of that. It needs to be unexpected money. Now, that might be a good one because if you're in sales, you know, you don't necessarily know what's going to walk through the door. And if we would look at that, we would think, well, wait a minute, this person's had a really good bloody May. They've just sold loads of stuff and it's crazy. And everyone around them keeps going, I don't know what you're doing. But for whatever reason, that magical thing that you did seems to have made a result, you know, which is manifested in your bonus and such. Missed the start, damn it, where you can always re-listen to it, re-watch it, and you can always ask more questions in the Witchcraft Live Facebook group. Now, we have obviously encouraged multiple different directions for people to go in and multiple different angles and spells and stuff like that. What I wouldn't like is I wouldn't like someone to just get some random spell book like that Judica Isles spell book, 5,000 spell book, and just go through every single money spell in there. What we'd like is you to compare and contrast different things. Because if you did a candle spell and then you did a attraction charm back money spell and then you put some bloody bay leaves in your shoes or some crap like that, what are all those individual spells designed to do? Well, they're designed to get money, but you might have some money, but are you attributing that money to one of those spells, all of them? You know, we'd like to get you thinking about this more. If you're using your psychic development to go and predict bets, make bets and stuff like that, then that is psychic development stuff. You know, if you're then going to do some, I don't know, mind manipulation or something like that, try and sweet talk someone to give you some money or something like that, then that's another thing. If you're doing a spell manifestation to see opportunity, for example, you could do manifestation to change yourself so that you view an opportunity, so that you're guided towards an opportunity to make money, something like that. You could do that. You could do a hex and knock out old Granny Fanny Crannock, who's going to leave you some money in their inheritance. As long as you get it all done and dusted in May and there's no inquest that holds it all up and all of that, you know, it all counts, you know. We have loose morals and we encourage you to be the same.
Sorry, Michelle's just dropped a doozy, which is why I'm laughing. She just said, obviously, try and keep in mind that some conditions have to be met, like no harm to any loved ones or self, etc.
I don't know about that. Michelle don't make the rules, Chris. If these people want to go and knock off members of their family to get an inheritance early by doing a hexing and a cursing, I wouldn't do that, of course, but there's no rules and laws against it, you know. So
No. But the follow up from a obviously kind of says exactly what you probably should be considering, which is that you know, you've also got to make sure that that money's not going to run away from you next month. So
yeah,
it's not pull
this
in
isn't a
money and
Wonka
then
thing.
find out that your house is burnt down next month.
Yeah, this is
So
a Wonka
do
thing.
think some of your calculations through.
Yeah. It can't be a Wonkaling where it goes in and then comes back out again. Or by all means, you can spend the money. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a case of, oh, this was a lapse, because I would consider that to be a mismanifestation, a partial manifestation. NatWest, Lloyd's, whatever bank you've got, they make a slip up and send money to the wrong account, and they say, "Oh, sorry, I'm taking that back now." I would say that that's close, but no cigar, and we will not count that, I'm afraid. So it's kind of tangible money, but I mean, come on. We've got to have some rules. For me, yes. So for you, obviously, you go by your own morals, your own ethical guidelines, and so on and so forth.
Right. Anyone that really matters is this one from Eric, which basically says, does active money magic prior to May count if it's accumulated in May?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I would be willing to say yes. But obviously, you do have to justify that spell has done it. So if you're wanting to augment a spell that you've already cast for magic, you know, at the end of the day, this is encouraging you to do magic. So what I would say to the person that's asked that is I'd say, yes, we'll count it, but bearing in mind we are trying to get you to perform various different types of money magic to compare and contrast and learning process, comparing and contrasting your different forms. So if you have that money magic spell that is manifesting money, still, why not try some other forms of magic that will, you know, work in different ways? If that's designed to make cold hard cash manifest in your bank account, that kind of thing, maybe think about, like I said, opportunity spell to make money or something like that. You know, other types, maybe more psychic work for an approach to take to it, because you don't want all of these to kind of have false manifestations by interacting too many of the same type of spell. And it doesn't mean the same type as in too many candle spells. It means the same type of generic aiming for the same thing can interact. Sometimes it can be good because these things absorb and then you get more energy behind it. Other times they can go in opposite directions. So it just makes the whole thing fall flat.
Eric says, note to self, up house insurance.
Yes, up the house insurance. Do we need to state our amount goal to you for it to count, or is it just whoever got the most? So what you need is you need to keep a running total. Okay. I would normally prefer that you keep that running total private for the simple reason that if you start posting it in the Witchcraft Life group, say I've manifested £1 million, other people are going to get disheartened and feel like, oh fuck, he's done 1 million. I can't do that. I'm giving up. So keep it, and what you'll do is you'll submit it at the end. Obviously, tell us you're going to get involved with the competition, but we'll talk to you about it in the end because we want to hear your stories. You know, all of that various things. At the end of the Witch Word competition, we'll announce the winner, but we'll also talk about some people's stories. We will keep it anonymous if you don't want us to reveal your names and stuff like that. But we'll have a little talk about what other people have been getting up to, because I think there's so much to be learned from this all around. And it's a fascinating subject. It's so popular, money magic, prosperity, wealth magic, all that sort of things. And there's so many different approaches to what is essentially a race to the biggest amount, you know? And the good thing is it's like sealed bids, Chris. You don't quite know what all of the other people have manifested. So maybe you've manifested £6. Maybe that's better than everyone else who's just managed to manifest a couple of pennies or a cent,
Yeah.
I think, if you're
But at the
American.
end of the day, like Liam says, it kind of, you don't want to share necessarily the amounts,
Yes.
but processes, definitely share those, because you always constantly inspiring each other to try new and different things. So your approach might be more interesting than somebody else's. But seeing your approach might encourage someone that wouldn't normally get involved in witch wars to have a go.
Yes.
Let's face it, the most we've ever had getting involved is probably about 30 or 40 people, and there's not almost 300 people in that group. So
So, in the interest of fairness, another thing that we are going to have to stipulate right now is that obviously you will accumulate your winnings presumably in your own currency. So, if you're American, you're probably going to use US dollars. If you're, from the UK, it will be Great British pounds. We will be doing the winnings in Great British pounds. That means if someone manifests $120 and someone manifests 100 British pounds, the one that manifested the 100 British pounds will win, because 100 British pounds is worth more than 120 US dollars. Okay, so you don't have to keep a running total in pounds sterling. You can keep it in whatever currency you want. So if someone manifests $1 million and £1 million and €1 million, it ain't going to be the euros or the dollars that's going to win that, nor is it going to be an even one. So we should stipulate that now, but you haven't got to worry about that. We will work that out officially on the last, so you've got up until the end of May. So the day after May is where we would like your, that's where we will basically do the currency. If we've got to look at the different currencies and track the currencies, we'll go by what is it, 1st of June. Whether you submit it on the 1st of June or not, we'll go for 1st of June, but you have until the end of May to keep your running total. Please don't cheat, because you'll only be cheating yourself, and you also might find out what happens to those who do cheat. So have we got any other questions, Chris?
Deanna's kept playing catch up, so that's tricky. And Michelle says she feels a charm bag coming on.
I felt a charm bag coming on before we even had the discussion. I'm not going to lie.
So we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, I think any other questions, just throw them on as we do, and we'll continue the discussion in Witchcraft Live as we do.
Yeah. In there, and I'll just play you out with the intro. So goodbye, everyone, and good luck.